Joining me now, NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray and John Nichols, national affairs correspondent for The Nation, my partner in crime for this past week here in Milwaukee. So, Mark, just give us a broad overview right now of how the numbers look, especially in those battleground states.
Yeah, so Katie, right now we have a situation where nationally and in the battleground states, Donald Trump leads within the margin of error. And honestly, the race hasn't looked all that different post-debate than it was before the debate. Now, there was a new national CBS poll that came in that showed Donald Trump opening up even kind of a little bit of a larger lead, still within the margin of error after the assassination attempt on Saturday. And we're going to need to see what the polling looks like, Katie, certainly in other surveys that were taken after last Saturday's events. But I think right now, with all the chaos that's surrounding the Democratic Party and the Democratic ticket right now, Donald Trump has a lead, but it still is a very competitive race right now.
It's a competitive race, it appears from the numbers. But the Democrats keep saying that they have a winning message. The country is doing so well. It's such a popular platform that they have. All of their policies are broadly popular, but they are not winning. They're within the margin of error, or they're losing. So if they have such a popular message, what's the problem?
Oh, I think there's a lot of problems. One of the things is it's very hard to deliver your popular message if all you're talking about is whether your candidate is going to stay or go. I mean, that's fundamental. That's sucking the air out of the room.
But it was even before this. This is
Totally
before the
agree.
debate happened. This conversation about a popular message was not resonating with the public because the polls have never shown him to be leading.
And there it goes to the heart of the matter. Joe Biden, if he wanted to run for re-election this year, needed to go out early. He needed to go out late last year and really go into full campaign mode. You needed him to go to those primary states where he was going to win, but to be there physically, and that just didn't really happen. Through the whole spring, he was president, right? And he was focused on that. And they took this way too casually, summed up by the debate. They went into the debate assuming that they were going to knock Donald Trump out of the race, and you saw what happened.
I read a fascinating piece in the New York Times by David Brooks, and he's talking about Democratic strategy. And he says if the Democrats want to beat MAGA, it's not enough to say orange man bad. Talking endlessly about January 6th does no good. If Democrats hope to win the near future, they have to take the MAGA worldview seriously and respectfully make the case, especially to working class voters, for something better. And he also argues that, what MAGA is offering now, it's not just Donald Trump. It's become an actual policy, a defined set of policies. That it's offering people security. It promises secure borders and secure neighborhoods, protection from globalization, the destruction of modern capitalism, making sure your kids aren't indoctrinated in school, et cetera, et cetera. How do the Democrats, as Mr. Brooks argues, how do they go after that? What's the strategy?
Well, they don't listen entirely to David Brooks, quite frankly, because he put out a few things there that, when you've got a campaign that's starting to raise quite a bit of billionaire funding, I'm not sure they're going to destroy modern capitalism. But here's the bottom line. They need to listen to Bernie Sanders. They need to listen to people who actually go out and do campaigning. Bernie Sanders was in Wisconsin a week ago.
Bernie Sanders is telling Joe Biden to stay in the race.
Yes, he is, but he's also telling him to do something else. This is a big deal. Bernie Sanders was in Wisconsin 2 weeks ago, went through secondary cities, drew hundreds and hundreds of people in pouring rain, very successful events. And so what was he out talking about? A core deep economic message that went way beyond just what has been done and what we tried to do, but what really needs to do. Now, you saw Joe Biden attempt to do that in Detroit a week ago Friday, where he actually gave a pretty good speech. It got lost into the weekend and is gone. But the fact of the matter is, whether Biden stays in this race or somebody else comes in, their message has to be the economic populist message that Democrats always deliver at the end of the race. They have to start doing it early. They always come too late.
Zoe Lofgren has just said that Biden needs to go.
It's the list go. I mean,
I think it feels like the list is opening up today.
Well, today you also had a major union in Washington State, UFCW local, that is kind of statewide and very powerful, very influential. They said that it's time to stand down. That's not an international union. The internationals are still very much with Joe Biden. But when you start to see major locals that everybody in the labor movement knows saying, you got to rethink, Mr. President, that's opening some doors here. And I do think we're at a kind of a critical moment.
Mark, I think we got about 30 seconds left. Wrap it up for us.
I think wrap it up is that we're going to be seeing what President Biden ends up doing. Obviously has COVID right now, put out that statement saying that he wants to hit the campaign trail next week. I think the next 48 hours are going to be really important, Kate. And not only the decision that President Biden ends up making, but the rest of the Democratic Party. And that remains the big story coming out of the convention in Milwaukee.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.